Blue Lock is home to a lot of interesting characters, and rightfully so. In the harsh world of becoming the best striker there's a lot to work through and a lot of like-minded individuals that you end up meeting, all using the best of their abilities to become the best player that they can be. But out of all the unique characters that we end up meeting, there's one that stands tall above a lot of the strikers, and he isn't even a striker. In fact, he's introduced to us very early on as a world caliber player, one that carries the title of the World 11, a midfielder named Itoshi Sae. Introducing us to Sae this early on in the story is important, as it sets the precedent that even a world-class player that comes out of Japan can't even be a striker. They have to play a different position. The biggest criticism that the author wants to convey at the very start about Japanese soccer is that the culture of Japan breeds conformity, a all for one for all kind of ideal, and as he believes, that shouldn't be the case for this sport. This culture is established from the very first episode, the very first chapter, where our main protagonist Isugi is able to envision a goal through his play, but passes to his teammate instead, which ultimately leads to their loss. A character that also upholds this ideal, Kira, is also locked off of the Blue Lock program early on as well, to further cement the importance of what the author calls egotistical play. It's why in the early interview, Sae says that he only came back to Japan to renew his visa so he can continue playing soccer abroad because he thinks Japan cannot produce a striker that fits his ideals. But after coincidentally hearing about the Blue Lock program as he passes through the conference room where they talk about it, his interest is piqued and he decides to stay in Japan for a little longer, even deciding that he'd play in the U20 match, something that'll come to fruition for anime-only watchers in Season 2. The U20 match is perhaps the single greatest and most important arc that sets the stage for our players in seeing a glimpse of how big the world really is, Itoshi Sae acting as the big boss that they have to overcome. And it's through the U20 match where we learn of Sae's origin and the bitter history that he shares with his brother Rin, as it's impossible not to talk about the sibling relationship / rivalry when discussing Sae as a character. We learned that Sae originally was going to play as a striker, showcasing incredible football IQ, great dexterity, and just being better than literally everyone his age. Sae was set to become the world's greatest. Rin, his younger brother, admiring his brother's play, learns instinctually what it means to be a striker and scores a goal for Sae's team, though he technically wasn't allowed to play, since he was supposed to just be an audience member. But after witnessing talent that just couldn't be passed up on, Sae asks Rin to play with him, saying that he can be the second best striker while he becomes the best in the world, all which Rin happily agrees to. Eventually, the Itoshi brothers play together, dominating all of the competition, which earns Sae an opportunity to travel abroad to Madrid in hopes to level up even further. But in a different flashback, we see Sae come back, broken and tired, a changed man, all evident through his broken facial expressions and the bags that are underneath his eyes. But despite how Sae looks, Rin is excited to see his brother, asks him how his time abroad was, in which Sae responds back with, "I've changed my goals, I'm going to become the world's best midfielder. You become the world's best striker instead," which shatters Rin's idealistic views of his brother as he responds back with, "What made you think you can change our dreams?" Sae proclaims that the world is a bigger place than Rin knows and challenges Rin to a 1v1 where he crushes his brother and then in edgy Blue Lock fashion proclaims that he makes him vomit and to never use him as a reason to play football ever again. This sets Rin down a path of vengeance against his brother, which we'll see come to its peak in the U20 match as they face off against each other for the first time since that night. This was also a hefty summary of Sae's history, but it's important to establish this before going down into the deeper analysis of Sae as a world-class football player. This history prompted a lot of theories and ideas to what might have happened in Spain, some saying that it was Luna that crushed Sae and broke his egos and dreams of becoming the world's best striker. But user CL Benton on Reddit digs a little deeper. I'll be summarizing his post as well as giving my own further analysis here, so if you would like to pause this video and go read the post, I'll leave the link down in the description below. One of the first ideas that Ego teaches to the strikers of Blue Lock is that strikers are not like the other positions. In his own words, while world-class defenders, midfielders, and goalies can be raised, the same can't be said of strikers. First-class strikers will suddenly appear in the game's hottest moment. This statement by Ego is a constant theme seen throughout Blue Lock, where characters like Isugi are seemingly in the most perfect position to score a goal. This statement by Ego teaches us that strikers are the only position that can't necessarily be taught. It's something that they have to be instinctually born with, and honing on this instinct is what makes a world-class striker. Does this sound familiar with a character that I had described earlier? That's right, Rin has this ability, and it's the main reason why Sae even decided to put his brother on his team and play with him. and this directly correlates to the reason why Sae couldn't be the best striker in the world. He lacks this instinct. The smell of the goal, as Isagi would describe it as, or the most dangerous area of defense as Rin would describe it as, is the instinct that cannot be taught. The instinctual awareness of going to where the game is the hottest is something that cannot compute in Sae's head, and I think that's where you learned how big the world is, and had to settle on becoming the world's best midfielder instead. Which is why when Sae came back, he declared that Rin would be the one to take the #1 striker position, while Sae takes the position of the world's best midfielder instead, because he fully believed that Rin had that instinct that he lacked. But Rin obviously spits on this idea, saying that he'd become the brother to the world's best striker instead. As C.L. Benton puts it, it was at this moment he realized his brother could no longer be the #1 striker. The Itoshi brothers are the dichotomy of why neither could become the world's #1 striker. Sae had the ego but not the natural ability, while Rin had the natural ability but not the ego. And this is perhaps why Sae holds a certain jealousy, resentment, and even a bit of hatred towards his brother. Rin has that natural instinct. We see these two ideals come to clash again in the U20 match, where Sae's flow state is represented by zeros and ones, a computer of soccer that sees the perfect plays that's able to crush and destroy the opponents in the most beautiful manner, while Rin's flow state is that of a monster, a unholy mess of human flesh and body parts, representing the humanistic, instinctual style of play that is able to destroy his opponents in the most disgusting manner possible. Sae, as represented by his flow state, cannot play instinctually, while Rin is just that, an instinctual monster, which is why he's ultimately changed his dreams. If we follow down through the cover theory of Blue Lock, where each of the characters' chains are a representation of their egos, Sae's is broken because his ego of becoming the #1 striker was crushed, with a golden chains that appears halfway, representing his newfound dreams and goals of becoming the best midfielder. Hence why Sae being introduced so early on is important. He is the perfect example of what it means to be the best player to come out of Japan and the peak of that ceiling, being the perfect cog in the machine to help his team score goals, but never the one that scores it himself. And being the big boss of the U20 match further cements the poor system that Japan's soccer program breeds, as Sae creates a ton of opportunities and no one on the U20 team can seemingly capitalize on these points, further showcasing the importance of the systematic change that Ego is creating in the world of Blue Lock. But of course, this is still all just speculation, as at the end of the day, there's still a lot of backstory and character buildup that both the brothers have left. So it'll be interesting to see where the Blue Lock story takes both of these characters. This has been JaeAIK. Subscribe for more random content, as that's kind of what I'm having most fun with as of recently. And so, with that being said, I hope to see you guys next time.